And it ends with a little gobble. I just think that's super cute. Do you guys like that timer?
Yeah.
I think it's super cute. So trying to see where that. Ooh. All righty. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Hope you guys are having a great day. It is Wednesday. It is so cold today. I had to go to Starbucks and get some coffee this morning because I was freezing this morning. And so let's jump in and see what we are going to do today. So we are going to start learning. Just being a little slow. So like always, we're starting with our live reading Zoom today. I don't know why we have an echo this morning. So we're starting with our live reading Zoom. And then for unique learning today, we are continuing with chapter 4 of our story, which is Ancient Roman, the Aqueducts, which we talked about yesterday. So today's more of just a review. And we do have some comprehension questions today. So we're going to make sure we log on to do that. We will be going over a few of the more advanced questions today together. For ELA, if you are in that PCI 1 group, you are continuing with your book At the Park by the Ocean and reading the words then. If you are in PCI 2, raise your hand. Very good. You are reading The Big Game and reading the word run and fast. You'll be working on those words today. And raise your hand if you're in that third ELA group. Raise your hand if you're in that ELA group. That's you. That's you. Thank you. Yes. All right, you can put your hands down. Yes, if you're in that group, you are reading chapter 10 of Dragon Wing today. You can put your hands down. Thank you. Yes, so you were reading chapter 10 of Dragon Wing. So that means we're getting really close to the end of that today. So then we're moving on to news. We are halfway through our article of New African American Music Museum. Whew, that's a mouthful every time I say it. My goodness. So today you were working on that. Group 1, you're working on singular versus plural again. And group 2, you're working on a think page. You're gonna have to write some sentences, okay? What does every sentence start with? Can anyone tell me? You can either put it in the chat bar, shout it out. What does every sentence start with? Thank you, a capital letter. That's what I was looking for. Very good. Make sure you're using those capital letters and punctuation when you're writing those sentences today. And then moving on at 10:20, Ms. Bryson's going live like always. For unique learning and math, today we're working on making change. Oops, sorry, that's tomorrow. Today we're continuing with adding different amounts. For some reason in my brain today, I think it's Thursday. So we're continuing adding those different dollar amounts. Like always, we have our Explore Math assignment. And then we have our vocational video today from Ms. Bryson. So that'll be posted around 11:30. So we'll be on the lookout for that. Daily exit ticket. And that's it. Does anyone have any questions about what we're doing today before we get started? No questions? All righty then. So let's look at our PowerPoint. So we're going to do a quick review of yesterday's stuff. Let me get it up here. So I have it written back here, but I put it on our slideshow so you have it up here. So yesterday we talked about our essential question is that we are going to be able to answer questions and use support from the text to explain the main idea and details and inferences of a story. And so that's a lot of big words. I mean, when I read that, I'm like, what the heck does that mean, right? You guys are so quiet this morning. So what that means is that we're able to answer questions and use the story to describe the big ideas and the details to make a conclusion of the story. And yesterday, we start with our main idea and details. So we talked about how ancient Rome invented the what? I know. What did ancient Rome invent? Aqueducts. Yes, very good. And so before we had the aqueducts, people had to live close to the water, right? Because they didn't have pipes. So they had to be close to the water. And so then Rome built aqueducts, and then people took the water, or the pipes, took the water to the houses and the buildings. Alrighty. And then our conclusion is that the aqueducts were an important invention that we still use today. Are you guys awake? Are you still there? Miss Bryson's room, are you still there? Everyone's so quiet this morning.
We're here.
Oh, I hear them. They're here. All right, so what's our vocabulary word for today? Who can read this word for me?
Some of us are having trouble logging in.
Say that one more time.
Some of us were having trouble logging in.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thank you. The word is very good. And what kind of word is plumbing? Is it a person, place, or thing, an action word, or a describing word? Plumbing. What do we think?
It's a thing.
A thing. Ooh, I hear you at home. Very good. It's a thing. You guys in class agree?
Yeah. Of course.
Very good. All right. Let me move it over here. There we go. Move it up here. Oh, goodness. All right, so we have our little picture of plumbing. You guys can see it on the screen there. And our definition, plumbing is a group of pipes that carries water to and from homes and buildings. So just like we were talking about yesterday, those aqueducts. So, you look like you're falling asleep over here. Can you use the word or use plumbing in a sentence? Where might you see plumbing in your house? We talked about yesterday where we might see some pipes. In your sink, okay? So let's try to make the word plumbing in a sentence. Let's try to combine ideas. So plumbing is a group of pipes. Anyone in Miss Bryson's room or at home, if you want to help them out, we're trying to combine the words where he says that he sees plumbing pipes in his sink at his house. Here, let me start you out. What about I see plumbing at my house in the kitchen. Very good. I like it. Let me type it in here. He said, I see plumbing at my house in my kitchen. Very good. We'll refresh up here. Trying something new up here, guys. Oh yeah. Goodness. Anyway, we're gonna go over to our chapter anyway. So you guys ready to read our chapter again? Let's focus. Sammy, can you read our title for me?
Chapter 4 is
Ancient. Can you read it for me?
ancient.
What's that word? Rome. And the aqueducts. It's like, I don't normally read this. All right, here we go.
At the next display, Dr. Jones points out a large tube. He asks, "Does anyone know what this is used for?" Lucy says, "I've seen a pipe like that under my kitchen sink."
So just like we said before, we see our pipes under our kitchen sink. Does anyone else have any other examples where we might see pipes in our home?
Hmm? I can see plumbing in the bathroom.
In the bathroom, very good.
That is exactly right. This is a plumbing pipe. It carries water to homes and buildings. You may not think about it much, but can you think about life without plumbing and water in your house? Asks Dr. Jones. In ancient times, people did not have running water. The first types of plumbing started with the Romans about 2,700 years ago.
So plumbing started 2,700 years ago. Do you think the first plumbing was ancient or was it old? What do you think, Tyler?
Ancient.
Ooh, I hear someone at home. Ancient. I hear it in class. We say ancient too. I agree. That is ancient. A long, long time ago. Thank you for your participation.
Ancient Rome was a very large community in Europe. Rome began in the country we call Italy today. The ancient Romans liked to take baths. They also needed clean drinking water. Many of their cities were far from water.
All right, I'm going to ask a quick question here to see if we remember something we learned a few days ago. This is a little tricky, and if you answer it, if you're at school, you might get some candy or a treat. We see in this picture here, this thing that looks like it has a lot of windows. Does that remind you of anything that
A museum. A museum.
was invented? In Greece, built on a hill. It has a stage.
But you only unmute
Starts with
one
a
music
T.
question because it'll make you echo.
You're on it. Yes.
Put it back. Stop.
Anyone in Miss Bryce's
Museum.
room? Any ideas?
Go back. You can't.
It has a stage on the inside. Remember, it has the benches.
Nah,
Is it a museum?
Theater, yes.
Mute it back.
Sorry, I'm throwing stuff in the room. That's what happens. Very good. And so you can see on your map.
Come around. Pay attention.
So let me zoom back out here. Move on.
Thank you.
We're reading through pretty quickly since we read it yesterday.
The ancient Romans built aqueducts. An aqueduct is a system of underground or above ground channels that move water from one location to another. This was early plumbing, explains Dr. Jones.
An aqueduct is a system of underground or above ground channels that move water from one location to another.
Very good. I think you must be where our echo's coming from. Yep. We mute you. Very good. So, an aqueduct is a system of underground or above ground channels that move the water from one location to another. So, if you can remember from our video yesterday, we saw how they moved that water from a big body of water, if it was an ocean or a river, and they moved it through mountains and through flat ground, all kinds of ground to get to the city so people could live further away from the water.
The ancient Romans dug tunnels and built bridges for water to move from rivers and lakes to cities. The bridges were very tall and had many arches. They put pipes in the tunnels and on the bridges. The water moved through the tunnels and across the bridges and the pipes. The water flowed into fountains in the city for people to use, says Dr. Jones.
So just like we just said, we watched that video yesterday to give us a kind of more visual how that water moved.
Some rich people had tunnels built into their homes, explains Dr. Jones. That sounds like what we have today, says Brent. Our house is connected to plumbing and water lines from the city. When I turn on the faucet, water comes right out.
What would happen if we didn't have faucets? If we didn't have water, running water in our houses? Can you imagine that? We would have to walk and get buckets of water from a river somewhere close by. I hear someone on the computer, y'all said, ew, yeah, that sounds terrible. Ooh, let's see what we got in the chat bar. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that would not be fun.
Dr. Jones says the Roman aqueducts were a positive change for the ancient Romans. We learned a lot about the culture from the aqueducts. They allowed the Romans to live in parts of the land that were not very close to a river or lake. It helped them stay clean and healthy.
We saw in our video yesterday too that how, they still use those same aqueducts and it still keeps the water clean and healthy. And they can live far away from those rivers. You're just smiling away, Tyler. Almost done, guys.
The ancient Romans' aqueducts were the start of what plumbing is today. We use plumbing to bring water to our homes and businesses. We have the Romans to thank for that, says Mrs. B.
Mm-hmm. So are we thankful for plumbing?
Yes.
Yes, I hear you guys.
Yes.
Up for plumbing. We appreciate that invention. Thank you to the Romans. All right, so let's answer a couple comprehension questions together, and then you can answer the rest.
Richard, stop.
Goodness. All righty, let me pull them up. Let's see. Let me pull them up here. We're gonna do the hard questions. I think we're smart enough to do those. All right. In blank times, people did not have running water. Any ideas? Not old, but
Ancient.
ancient. Thank you. You guys remember this because you're going to have to do it on your own. Very good. Number 2, the first types of plumbing started with the.
Who remembers?
Who were the people that started the plumbing?
Mute yourself, Nazia.
Romans. Very, very good. The Romans. Whoops. Very good, guys. And number 3, the ancient Romans liked to take This is something we didn't point out too much. See if you guys can remember it. They needed a lot of water for this. They wouldn't take a shower. They needed more water for this. It might be in a tub.
Bath.
A bath. Very good.
Good job. You just so bad.
Whoops, I'm going all caps here. Very good. They like to take baths. And number 4, the ancient Romans built, what was their big invention?
Building.
Didn't hear you say it again. I think.
Building.
They did plumbing. What's another word for the plumbing they called it? What did they call it?
Aqueduct.
Aqueduct.
Aqueducts. I hear you. I love you guys are participating good this morning. Very good. And number 5, an aqueduct is a system of underground or above ground blank that moves water. Any ideas? This one's a little tricky.
Tube.
Say that one more time.
Tube.
Tube, yeah, a tube or a pipe. That's what they're actually looking for channel, but I think those are great answers. A tube or a pipe or channel. Very good. All right. What do you say? Let's answer some of these multiple choice questions because we're just on a roll this morning. Then we'll be done, okay? You guys okay with that? Make it easier for you when you do it on your own. Number 6. Let's see.
What's the exact where
Romans.
Romans do tell were the wars?
So what did the ancient Romans do to move the water? Dug tunnels, carried buckets, or pulled carts? Very good. There's your beat.
Dug tunnels.
Very good. Thank you. They dug tunnels. Number 7. Let's see. Let me zoom it in. I'm going to read it up here. Number 7 for me. Water. Where did the water come from? Caves, swimming pools, or rivers?
Rivers.
Oh, very good. Rivers.
Yeah.
Answered it for you. Number 8. What did the water flow into? Faucets, fountains, or streets? So in today's world, they would go into faucets, but back then it was into fountains. What was special about the bridges? They were long and short. They let people move across from them, or they were tall and had many arches. They had many arches.
Okay.
Very good. And then last one, then we're done. How did the aqueducts affect the ancient Romans?
Remember?
It was a positive change, a negative change, or it did not affect the ancient Romans?
Positive.
Positive, yes, very good. job, guys. So we are going to, that's going to be it for today. So log on to Unique Learning and answer the comprehension questions on your own, okay? Because we did not answer them all together. Make sure you do that. Break into your reading groups, news to you, and we will see you back live at 10:20.
All right.